Welcome back to another episode of That Pop Culture Podcast. I am joined today by Halo Reach's biggest fan, Juan, and Lil Uzi Vert's biggest fan, Jess. How are y'all doing today?
Uzi Vert?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, I should have expected that when you said you wanted to do the intro. Anyway, she does have front row tickets to his next tour.
I literally don't.
Yeah.
Does he even tour?
Understandable, really.
I mean, am I going to be there fangirling as well? Probably.
I don't think so. You have horrible music taste, but not that bad.
I don't know about if that's true at all, but I don't want to fight in front of Hunter right now.
Please.
Do you want me to bring up Playboy Cardi?
Do you want me to bring up Playboy Cardi?
Let's talk about Sexy Red. I think that's the real point of contention.
The GOAT, question mark, exclamation point, big sexy, President Sexy.
I feel like this podcast is going to be the pre-marriage counseling for your music tastes.
Yeah, we don't ever really fight, but if we're going to, it's going to be over President Sexy.
I'm a fan, but only a certain personality that I have is a fan.
All of my personalities are conflicting, and they all also love Sexy Red.
Considering you're recording in your underwear, it makes sense.
I am absolutely cutting that.
This is the lewd cast.
I took a shower while I was waiting, but it don't matter because that's getting cut 100%. How dare you?
What? It's President Sexy would want this. Okay.
That's true.
So, we have, obviously, we did not record last week, and me and Hunter had a pretty crazy week. Jess, too, had pretty rough weeks, so it just didn't end up happening. But I wanted to talk about what happened to me at work today, because it was pretty insane. I obviously texted you a little bit of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had an impromptu pickup. Some parts were hot, so I had to take them back to the factory, but I was already in the area. Oh, yeah. I was already in the area, so I was like, okay, I'm going to stop by over to this other factory. It's like, I think it's at 9 Mile in Groesbeck on the east side. So I go there, they hook me up really quick, and, I head out. And I'm going north on Hoover over by 696. Do you know which one 696 is, Hunter? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going north on Hoover to 696, and the bridge. So the way, for people who don't live in like the Metro Detroit area, 696 used to be a road, and then they made it into a highway, and then they just brought the road that was there already up, and it's like a service drive. So that's 11 Mile. So at Hoover, you can go straight through over the bridge to the north side of 11 Mile, turn it, bust a left, and then you can get on the highway. But they were working on it, and I was in my semi today because my, big semi box truck thing that doesn't have like an actual trailer, it's just got a box on it, that's been broken down. So I've been driving like my actual semi. And the bridge is closed because I think they were patching a hole and repainting. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go right instead onto 11 Mile going east. And then the very next crossover bridge is also closed because they were painting there. And I'm like, oh, this freaking sucks, but it is what it is. So as I'm doing this, because these crossovers are right next to the bridge that I couldn't go over, I'm probably going 10 miles an hour. The speed limit is like 30 miles an hour here because it's basically, there's a neighborhood that is on 11 Mile on the highway. Like there's driveways that go up to it. So the very next bridge is just like, I don't even know, like a stone's throw away. Like you could see it. I wouldn't even call it a quarter mile. It's probably closer to that. So I was going to do a wide turn to go do the crossover so I can get onto the highway. I swing out wide, and then some guy in a Ford flies around me. And I'm only going like 10 miles an hour, so I stop my truck because he's flying around me and I'm going to hit him if I keep turning. Avery won't stop biting on her foot. Every time I move it, she puts it right back in her mouth. All right. So anyways, guys. I'm in the lane closest to turn if you're in a car, but since I'm in a semi, I turn on my blinker and then I swing really wide to do a left turn. So as I swing left, the guy comes up flying around me. So like he was behind me, and then he flies around me, and I stop my truck because I'm only going like 10 miles an hour. He slams on his brakes. So, like I said, guys, keep this in mind. It's 30 miles an hour on this road. He slams on his brakes so hard, he tries to turn. He literally jumped the curb, and slammed into the wall and destroyed the front end of his truck.
Holy shit.
And like I said, I'm not being dramatic here. I was going like 10 miles an hour. I had my blinker on, and I'm just like, whatever. I mean, you know, there might be a few people behind me, but like I checked both mirrors and there was nobody there. So he literally smashes his wheel. It comes off. He goes over the curb, and then at a 90-degree angle, that's where he slammed his engine block into. It was like the 90 degrees. So right there, the car goes in. His whole front end is destroyed. So I roll up a little bit, and I look at him, and I'm like, what the fuck, asshole? And then I took off. Because I wasn't doing anything illegal. I wasn't in the way, because semis all have on the back, takes wide right and left turns. I'm going slow. I signaled. He flew around me, and he was going so fast in a neighborhood area that he couldn't stop his car except for into a wall. And he didn't hit my car, so I left. What, Jess?
Can I get aggressive really quick?
Good question. Please.
I envy you.
Why?
I would pay big money to watch something like that happen. Only because the idiots that I deal with in my car, and I don't have to take right turns. Like, I'm just driving, we're going the speed limit, and people are just, they suck. I wish I could watch them crash into a wall. And then I would slow down and look at them and be like, yeah, how that feel? Yeah, I bet you were a little patient. Don't move my mic.
I want to make sure people can hear how much you love this.
I'm just, like, when you told me that earlier, I was so jealous. Because was it this morning
Michigan...
I'm so sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Michigan drivers are insane. Like, just, I don't understand what people are doing half of the time. It's just like, it feels like they're just doing dangerous things to do dangerous, stupid things sometimes. Like, people will just, like, merge without looking and accelerate and decelerate 3 different times to get, like, 1 car length ahead of you.
As somebody who drives a minimum of 100 miles a day at work, and usually it's more than that. Like, the other day I went to Cleveland, and then he still sent me to over by the Air Force Base in Mount Pleasant when I got back from Cleveland. Like, I did 400 miles that day. Trust me, I understand, but, like, it was at a time frame where it's like, you're probably on the clock. What are you rushing for? You know what I mean? Or if you're late for work, you gotta leave sooner. Because okay, guys, honestly, be real with me. I want to know. How much time do you think he would have saved going around a semi that's combined 75 feet? How much time do you think he saved if he didn't slam into a wall? He would have saved going around a truck that was making a turn to get out of his way.
Oh, well, if he would have successfully done it, his wife wouldn't have left, and his pickup truck would have been intact, and Nickelback would have been good.
Okay, hang on. Nickelback
I was thinking more of Five Finger Death
Punch. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Okay, wait. I want to go back to this Nickelback thing. What were we saying?
I said what I said.
Look at this photograph. What are you saying?
Exactly. It was good for its time.
It was of its time.
You know, isn't that the same argument that the Confederates make too?
You need to dial it down, please.
Oh, wow. Oh, no. The South will rise again.
Just joke.
I'm going to go ahead and sign off. You're cutting all of this.
No, yeah, I definitely went from 0 to 150 there. Sorry about that. I was trying to get around a pickup truck.
Oh, wow, okay. I knew I heard something smash in the background.
Ooh.
So, since I fled the scene, I got back, and also, I couldn't cross over because a bunch of people like sat there and watched this happen,
As
and then
should.
they all just drove past him too. And I was like, okay, well, are any of these people going to call the cops on me for some reason? Even though I didn't do anything wrong, are they going to call the cops on me? Nobody did. So I had to go all the way down by my truck shop, turn around, and then I get on the highway. By the time I got onto the off-ramp and onto the on-ramp to get on 696, I went under the bridge to see what he was doing, and the fucking fire department was already there. I'm like, well, that's a quick response. Like, that's tax dollars at work. But I got back and I told my coworker about it because I don't want anybody to just think that I'm out here doing crazy shit. So I was like, oh, this guy was being crazy. And I had not really considered it because I was kind of like flabbergasted. I just watched this guy obliterate his truck. Like, I've never been going 10 miles an hour and I seen that much carnage. Like, it was crazy. It was like a Marvel movie. It's like, dude, what is going on? But I got back and I told him.
Michael Bay directed this car accident.
What's that?
I said Michael Bay directed that car accident.
Dude, I wanted to take a photo, but he was not happy.
I would have gotten out and taken a selfie.
A selfie with it? I had to be in it. Well, so I had not thought about this. So when I got back, I told my coworker, he was like, he wanted to get around you to save all that time and look cool, and now look it. He's probably sat on the side of that road
He's
for,
never
what,
looked
an hour?
cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you explain that to the cops? Like, what happened? A truck was basically stood still, and I went around him and slammed into a wall? Like, you look like a cuck. If I'm being honest with you. Wait, is good girl time up? Okay, it is.
Oh my gosh.
I was just, that was insane, so I had to tell you about Honor. I could only give Jess, like, a rundown because I had a pretty rough day at work again, but how has your guys' week been?
Not that good in comparison to that.
That good is crazy.
Like I said, I envy you.
I appreciate the level of hater that you are with this because I do feel that.
She will call me
Just to scream at him as if he's the driver that's making me mad.
at 9:45 in the morning. She'll call me on her way to work and tell me dreadful things about the drivers on the road. Nothing we'll get into because this is live, but dreadful things about the people on the road at the same time while it's still dark out. Like, it's already rowdy for her, and she's just going to work.
Yeah, I get really upset. Was it this morning or yesterday morning when that guy tried to run me off the road?
This morning.
Yeah. It might have been. Yeah.
It might have been double-sided.
No, I just think that if it's posted 60 and I'm going 70, it's an on-ramp, so it's definitely not posted 70, but I'm going 70. And you are so close to my car that you're in the back seat. I can smell the exhaust from your car. I just think we need to slow it down. So I might have slowed it down rather aggressively. Just to let him know, like, hey, I'm scared. Like,
hey, I'm scared.
You know, like with those animals, they like bare their teeth or something, or like frogs change colors. I was changing colors from no lights to the red. I'm slamming on the brakes, and you're stopping. Where you stop, that's your choice. I have full coverage. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you do have full coverage. That's true.
Yeah.
And you need new bumpers anyway, so that would honestly work out.
So, I'm just saying.
All I'm trying to say in the message I'm trying to get across for me and Jess's storylines here, you know, our narratives that we're giving you, it's one-sided, by the way. Our one-sided narratives that me and her are not the problem. Maybe just leave a few minutes earlier. You know, maybe just slow it down a little bit. And I'm somebody who, don't quote me if anybody ever listens to this that I work with, because when I'm on the clock, I go really slow when I'm at work. I go very fast on the highways. I go very fast everywhere I go. Even Jess will be like, okay, it's 50 here. I drive very fast. But also, I'm one of those drivers that I'll drive very fast and not even aggressively. Like, I just don't want to be in the car. If I'm not getting paid, I don't want to drive. I'll drive fast as hell. I'll drive crazy as hell. But when I'm around other people, I don't want to do that. I don't want to impact other people's lives because I'm impatient. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, they literally think they're main characters. They think this is their show.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind. It's like, I will drive as fast as I can until I can't. If I can't, it is what it is. As long as somebody's going the speed limit, I'm not really that particularly mad at them.
Which is why I maintained my innocence earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I was going above the speed limit, being considerate of the impatient driver behind me.
Right.
But then I realized, hey, you're not being safe, buddy. So,
So
I
you gotta
slammed on
make
my
sure
brakes. I had to put him in check. What if he's got a wife and kids? I was looking out for him.
You're a man of the hero.
Did he fishtail? Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Should have slowed down better, bud.
We're getting incriminating now. Hunter, how's your week been?
I have one more thing on the car stories. One of my things that makes me immediately really mad is if you are at a red light and you're going to turn right, and it's like, you could turn right, but you can't because there's cars going by, right? And the person behind you is honking at you to go. Even if you went, you would literally just freaking get T-boned immediately. Yep. But they're honking at you like, come on, go, go, go! Like it's like the biggest rush in the world. I was at the light on the airport, and someone was honking at me, and I literally put my car in park.
Oh.
I shut my car off. I was so mad. And the guy starts just laying on his horn, and I just turn around and I just look at him.
Oh, no.
I just look at him. No expression on my face, just looking at him. And then the light turned green, I start my car and I turn. I was like, I'm not even going to try to turn on the red. I'm not even going to give it the old college try.
You probably would have.
Sit here
if he wasn't being a dickhead, you probably would have went. Consequences. This is what Jess tells me. Consequences to your actions. You should have pulled a dog on him, like rolled the window down and just stick your head out at him backwards. Progressive's gonna call me tomorrow.
This is all taking place in Minecraft. Yeah, this is all taking place in Minecraft. We're talking about.
If we were in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Progressive is gonna call me tomorrow and be like, "So, bud, listen to the podcast last night."
Our insurance is just gonna jump up like $600.
Hunters is just gonna drop them. You're stopping in traffic. Nope.
Right.
Dropped.
We're all gonna receive impeding traffic tickets in the mail.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on impeding traffic. Oh, Hunter. This is a really good, like I said, I want to talk about last week because you had a week. But real quick, I need backup on this because I was telling Jess about it. Do you remember that the very first time I ever met Bailey, we went to Hunter's house? We did that jump going into his neighborhood and the cop gave us a ticket.
Wait, a different Hunter?
No, this Hunter. The Hunter we're talking to.
You talked about him like in third person, so it was just...
Oh, I thought I said, anyways, yeah, when I'd never met Bailey before, and then we were going to Julian's house, and then we did like that jump through, like in the entrance of his neighborhood, and we got that ticket.
Yes, I do remember that.
I just wanted to make sure that Jess didn't think I was just fucking bullshit and that we were Dukes of Hazzarding, on top of the fact that we might have had alcohol in the car. We were not drinking it, but we had alcohol in the car. And Hunter was not particularly impressed with me that we got pulled over when he told me, hey, I have this alcohol in my backpack. And then we immediately get pulled over 3 minutes later.
So that's the new book we're reading.
Awesome. I think I literally have a Snapchat of the police lights in the background and me having just a completely blank expression on my face.
Well, remember Julian came out of his fucking house with his shirt off and his beer belly out, staring at us like like he's getting a fucking TV show, like cops in his front yard. And he's just screaming, what the hell are you doing, bro? Oh, my God.
Oh, man. That sounds like Julian.
Good times, really.
Was it good times? Well, I never ended up having to pay that ticket for a very fortunate reason, so. Anyways.
The cop never show up?
I think he left this earth, is what they told me.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. So, why didn't we get to record last week, Connor? What happened? What's going on, brother?
I just had a lot going on. I had a lot of things happen at work that I will not digress on the podcast.
Okay.
But I back to back more car issues after having my fuel lines rebuilt with the battery, and that finally got taken care of this weekend. Actually, I just had to buy an entire new battery and put it in, and that is not cheap, especially when you have an SUV. And we also had our battery for our mower die, and we have like a ride-on mower because we have an 1.5 acres. And that died too, so we had to get 2 new batteries this weekend. which is awesome. It was a big battery weekend.
No,
for us.
Duracell
And
loves
from
it.
these storms. Yeah, and from these storms, we've been having trees fall in the yard, which has been a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun and exciting events.
So, last week, so Jess has been reading a lot, and we're going to talk about that this podcast. It's going to be one of our main things we focus on. So last weekend, Jess was like, I'm super excited to do the podcast. I want to talk to Hunter about the books and everything, and I want to talk about it. I'm like, okay, awesome. So we all come home from work on Monday. You know, it was like a bad day for all three of us, but it was like, okay, well, at least we all get to hang out. We had everything set up. You got set up. You were like, all right, man, I'm getting on now.
Oh, yeah, that was... See, there's even more to this. My neighbors, partially because of the storm, were having tree work done as well, because they have like a tree that's literally like over their house, and they're just like if it fell, it would literally obliterate their house, or would have. So they were getting it taken down, and our internet line runs right across their yard, right above their porch, right next to this tree that had to come down. And I gave the people next door I gave them permission to take down the cable line as long as they put it back up, expecting that the tree work was going to be done during the day when I was at work, because I was at work till 6 o'clock or 5:30 that day. And then they decided to not take it down until 5 p.m.
Awesome.
So I had no internet until like 10:30 at night or 11 o'clock at night, and I had to work in the morning. So that was very awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and like I said, we all three were ready and sitting at our desks when he was like, oh, wait, hold up a second. Nope, never mind, not gonna fucking happen. And then we were just not able to record. And you work late on Tuesdays, which I don't know if that's too invasive. If it is, I'll cut it. But you work, work schedules make it really hard to do it on Tuesday. Wednesday came around, and what happened? I think there was one other thing. Oh, that was when I went to Cleveland. Me and you both had horrible days. I was like, let's just not do this. I'm just not in a good mood. Oh, and me and Jess were dealing with some wedding stuff, and it was just not a good day. Like, I was in such a fucking bad mood, and I was like, what is literally going to be the point if I'm just not going to be fun to be around when we record?
We really did try like 3 different times to sit down and record it, and I was sitting here thinking like, everyone's gonna think we did a podcast and Hunter just forgot to upload it for another week.
It does happen.
It does happen. Sorry.
The funniest thing ever was when I went to listen to the podcast on YouTube, and it was just you, like, blindly reacting to stuff that I couldn't hear. I wanted you to keep it up so bad because it was so funny.
This is the schizo episode.
Just Hunter and his 3 personalities.
Because, like, when I hit play, there was no theme music or anything, and it was just Hunter, like, yeah, dude, I know, right? It was just like, wait, what is going on? It was so funny.
It's just, this episode is just called Hunter Reacts, and there's no, what does he react to? Who knows?
Right.
No one really can tell.
Maybe at some point we will re-upload that, because that does sound really funny.
I'm pretty sure it was on April Fool's Day too, so everyone was like, is this a sick joke? What is this?
I think
Comments
it was.
were so funny.
Yeah, I think it was around April Fool's Day. When did that fall on? I think you're right. That would have been, the Tuesday. Yeah. I think you would have uploaded it maybe the first or the second. That's actually really funny. If anybody wants to hear that, let us know, and then maybe with Hunter's permission, we will re-upload that, because that's hilarious.
It's just him making, like, sounds, like dad noises almost.
That's incredible.
Into the mic.
Well, that's just hanging out with Hunter.
Yeah, true. No, I'm not even gonna play. I'm not gonna play tough on that.
Play tough. Look at this.
It's just gonna be. There's probably just 50 minutes of me grumbling into the microphone.
Oh my god. Actually, when we seen you
Fucking Michigan drivers.
a week or 2 ago, I forgot that I wanted to take a picture of all of us together, because we have never actually posted a picture of all of us together on the podcasting. Maybe that's why. Oh, can we talk about how Facebook keeps attacking us in a second?
Oh yeah, that we can talk about that for sure. And I guess Instagram is Facebook now. My bad.
So, anyways, that's what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to post a picture of all of us together so they know that we're real people. because I don't know if anybody has noticed or anybody even really cares. Facebook just keeps taking down our Facebook posts and our Instagram posts, and it's like, what the hell? And it doesn't give me a reason, and it doesn't let me dispute it, so I don't understand what's going on. Maybe it's copyright because I'm posting pictures of the stuff we talk about, but aren't there like entire Instagrams dedicated to posting news of other people's stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm confused. I don't understand what's going on, but this has happened to me and Hunter multiple times, and he has even brought it up to me because he got notifications about it.
Crazy.
They want to stifle us rising stars.
I agree.
That's got to be it.
It's probably all of the people that just is brake checking and traffic reporting our posts.
No, I can't.
It could be
that on live.
All right.
I will say I think the reason Facebook is taking our videos down is because they heard that we're going to be the next Joe Rogan podcast, but we have hair and good takes.
Do all of us have hair?
Not racist.
I knew you were gonna say
Do
that.
all of us have hair?
You have most of your hair.
Yes.
Do all of us have at least 75% of their hair? I
Yes.
don't know if that's true.
Yeah, definitely true.
You have more than Joe Rogan.
Oh, I definitely do have more.
That was all that was important for the joke.
I do also have more human decency. My dad took a picture of me when we were working on my car a few weeks ago, and he took a picture of me from above, and I was like, why does he have the flash on? Like, why am I blinded? It was my fucking scalp showing through my hair.
He was mourning that day for quite a while.
I was pretty bummed out. Plus, I have really dark hair for people who don't know what I look like. And the white-ass scalp definitely is visible in my black hair. And we went and seen Ethan recently. We helped him move, and he moved closer, which that'll be very good. So we were grabbing a beer, and we were talking to Ricardo about it. And all Ethan had to put into the conversation was, yeah, I mean, dude, your shit's cooked. At least I have blonde hair, so it blends in with my head. And then Ricardo was like, well, let me see. And I pulled back my hair, and he seen my Vegito hairline, and he was like, that shit's rough, bro. That is rough.
Oh, man.
Dude, I cannot stand
It'd
him.
be your own boys.
It'd be your own people.
It'd be your own boys.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I know, man. I know. It's the life I live. It's the life I live. Even Julian was cooking me earlier. He was asking about wedding stuff. And he specifically told me that I was not Mexican enough because all the Mexicans he knows they still have full head of hair. It's like, well, this is great. Thank you.
You're not bald. It's thinning.
It's thin, all right. So I wanted to talk about your books, Jess. Why don't we go before I start crying on live?
We should go before I make the joke.
No, I think you should make the joke. I'd like to hear it while I open my notes app.
I was gonna say, can your new nickname be Margarita Vegeta?
Okay.
Oh, I thought there was gonna be like a boo. There's not a boo.
There's not. It's, yeah.
There we go. I'll cut the fucked up one and I'll leave that one then.
Oh my.
All right. So what have you been reading? Because I've been excited to talk about this.
I finished the 4th book of the Akotar series a long time ago, actually, because we missed the recording days due to the unfortunate events. But I have a bone to pick.
What's that?
I hate when, like, books or whatever will mention these, like, really cool characters, but they make them side characters so you know nothing about them, and they don't give them, like, an origin story or a past. But, like, they know that you know they're super cool.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I had something in my tooth.
I have, actually, it's funny you bring that up. So the Stormlight books, so the books that Jess is talking about, I actually started listening to them.
Mm-hmm. And they're spicy.
They're romanticies, right?
Yep.
Fantasy romances.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that in a second. But going to your character thing, in the Stormlight Archive, which, update guys, I'm on the 5th and final book, and I plan to be done with that, and then maybe I'll do a little supplemental and talk about all the books together and what I think about everything. But anyways, there's a character, his name's Hoyd, or Witt, W-I-T-T. And he's basically a 10,000-year-old person. He does not die because of rules that they establish. It's really complicated. But you start to realize that he's more than just somebody who makes jokes, you know, because he's a wit. He makes clever jokes. You start to realize that, and then you start to really see that he's doing important, cool stuff and that he's really strong. And then you basically don't learn anything about him until, like, the end of the 4th book. It was very frustrating, so I do know what you mean.
Yeah. So
It sucks when they set up someone to be really awesome and they just don't deliver.
well, no, that's the thing that I really liked about this series, because book 1 through 4, well, you don't even hear about this character until like maybe the 2nd book, really.
Which character?
Cassian.
Cassian. Okay.
He's super cool. One of my favorite characters. He's like the comedic relief in like some of the tension that they go through. So book 4 is kind of like an ending of an era, if you will. Like some big events happened in the first 3 books, and then the 4th book is a novella, so it's really small. It's just kind of like, it's like a Christmas book, basically.
Right.
Like, cool, everything's done, now we're gonna hang out with the characters and kind of see where they're going. Well, okay. So I got into the 5th book, and the 5th book is strictly just about that character.
Awesome.
And another character, but it was really good to see them take a deep dive into like that character and gave him a whole book. And it was spicy, so that was fun.
That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win.
Very spicy, I might add.
Actually, real quick aside. So she's reading, what is it called? The Court. The
Court of Thorns and Roses. I just finished like literally 20 minutes before we started recording. I read the last chapter of the last book.
So she's reading this series by Sarah J. Maas or whatever. And obviously the romanticities, the first book has some sexual stuff in it. I'm not really particularly into that, like in most of the books I listen to, so I skipped some of that. But it's actually a really thought-out fantasy book, and I really, really like it. But then the second one she told me, which I have not started yet because I'm finishing the Stormlight Archive before I do the entire series, that one has a lot more romance in it. Well,
Definitely.
spicy.
Yeah, it's very smutty.
Yeah, smut. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a lot of smut. But then she told me, Hunter and audience, that the 3rd book basically doesn't have any in it at all. It's just a fantasy book almost.
I think that's why I really, really like this series too, because obviously we love a good smutty book, but this it's like a fair, even balance between lore of like the fantasy realm-ish, and you know, you get to see your but you get to like read about your favorite characters doing the business.
Razzle dazzle, the monster mash.
Yeah.
The nasty.
I know.
Should we start a car?
Okay, relax. The downside about the 5th book, though, is one of the characters that I grew to hate through every single book, 1 through 4. She was also Nesta, I believe, yeah. Her and Cassian, like, the last book is just about them because, you know, some stuff happens, so they end up working really closely together. I fucking hated her. She was just like a wet mop in the corner, existing. But then, now that the 5th book is solely in, like, her perspective and Cassian's perspective, I kind of like her. I get why she was a wet mop.
Alright, Hunter.
And it really wrapped everything up, I think.
Well, I mean, it's not... It makes sense that she is with all the smut in the book, right?
I guess, but she's literally no personality other than, like, grunge, cut my wrist and black my eyes type shit.
Yeah, she's like one of those, like, acts really hard and tough, and then she ends up getting strong, so then that kind of perpetuates it, too.
Okay, spoiler. Let's be honest. She's the oldest sister of the 3 Archean, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, sisters, and she did nothing. Neither did the middle sister. They both did nothing, and then the younger sibling literally kept them alive for years after their mother died. Years. The youngest sibling hunted everything. Made sure the house was good, and they just sat there and sulked, and one of them played in a garden. Please. I would be so mad. I would have run my siblings over with a car.
Yeah, probably.
Like, how dare you? And then in the 5th book, they all treat her like crap. Because, you know, she started doing some pretty, like, not great things. Like, you know, not prostitution, but she was, like, meeting escorts and doing some little drinkage. And basically just going down like a dark path, and then they basically had like a coming to Jesus moment and an intervention, and was like, hey, you can't be doing all this because like you're spending our money on it. But it's like, you guys dragged her into this. She already hates herself. Chill out. Let her do what she wants. The one can garden all day for like not growing food. She's just growing fucking flowers. I'm sorry. Are the daffodils going to get us out of the war? I didn't think so. But it's fine. She can do what she wants. But God forbid I have a drink.
Listen, if one sister can be obsessed with flowers, the other one can be obsessed with penis, you know? Like straight up dog.
No, like, I get it. But I just think a good dick down could save you one day. You never know.
I
you might
don't
have
know.
to call.
I've never been in danger, and I've never been dick down. So I can't completely agree or disagree with the statement.
I'm just saying, it can get you connections. Not only physically, but also... Your car breaks down, who are you going to call from down the road with the big dick? That's who you're going to call.
The enemy storming the beaches. What do? Take off your pants. Let's do this now.
See, now you're getting it. Exactly.
All right, Hunter. So to bring you into the conversation a little bit, have you read Court of Rose of Thorns or whatever it's called? Has Bailey?
No.
I highly
no.
recommend.
Have you or her read any romance books or anything like that?
Yes, I have before.
Okay, so you get the gist probably of what we're talking about. But the thing I wanted to ask you about is I've also never read a romance book before, so it was very interesting. I don't know where my line is where I'm just like, I'm going to skip past this, or I don't want to read this or hear this. But I don't know what it is. It just doesn't really do anything for me.
It's not that I'm not getting worked up over it.
Well, I mean...
So...
Hold up.
Hang on, let's reel it in.
Yeah, let's turn this back a little bit. I'm not even saying worked up like I'm just walking around work with a big fat hog. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
down,
not...
please.
Like, I don't care about that. It's just... Here's a good one. It's not the exact same thing, but here's a comparison. When I watch The Office, which I hate The Office fucking sucks.
This is a strange comparison, but I'm listening.
Cringe moments in TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few shows or books where I can handle cringe. You know, I would say Parks and Recs, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like I can handle all that. But like, it's like the same thing with like cringe. Like I get to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna skip this now because I'm just not interested. Like I don't want to hear it, so I just skip it. Mm-hmm. I don't know where that line is with romance. And then the second book, I'll give you guys an update, especially you, Hunter. You hear all about my romance journey. I'll let you guys know in a more graphic book where there's more of it, like where my line is. But as of right now, I just know that I typically skip it. But it's usually before penetration, if we're being honest here. This is going to be an explicit podcast, by the way, guys. If the hog comment didn't let anybody know. So, all right, Hunter, let's reel this back to the question I wanted to ask you to bring you into this conversation, because I know Jess has more to talk about, but I want you to have some feedback in this.
It's mostly just me ranting about, like, the story itself.
You got to talk about Warner Brothers as well, which me and Hunter can get behind. Hold up one second, though. What perspective of books for the characters that are portrayed, you know, the POV for the characters, what perspective is your favorite, and which one do you not like?
To be honest, I don't really mind if it's first or third person.
Oh, it's the same to you?
I don't mind. I don't really mind too much, and I also don't mind if it's like first person jumping between different people's POVs, as long as they make it so you can tell the difference between the characters. Like the writing is different between the characters too. But I don't know. I don't really have a strong preference either way, to be honest with you, about first or third person.
I have found out that the majority of the books that I have read are not first person. I am not a big fan of first person. I don't hate it, but when I'd say in the last 3 years, I think I've probably gone through like 120 books. I don't know if any of them have been first person. The only time I get first person is when someone's reading a diary, a journal, an excerpt from like maybe a newspaper or something like that, where the perspective is past tense of the POV character reading somebody else. You guys know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the first book is in first person, and I think Jess says 2, 3, and 4 are
I
first
think
person.
most of the romance books that I've read are in first person.
Well, I guess for romance that would kind of make a little bit of sense.
I think
right?
you're right.
Since-
Yeah, I think that I think a lot of the time the point of romance is to be kind of there.
Okay.
A little bit more than some other genres.
Since I've
sometimes.
never read romance before, maybe that's why it was so jarring for me. It's a different genre than what I typically do because I do fantasy, sci-fi, and dark. Scary, dark, and whatever. So it was very jarring for me. And then Jess said that I think the very last book that she just finished before the podcast was in third person, right? And she was not a big fan of third person.
Yes, it was kind of in third person. Just because, like, all of the books, with the exception of number 4, because it literally bounces between, but then my boy Cassian, my favorite, he was in third person.
Okay.
But every other person in the book's point of view, because every chapter is, like, a different person's perspective.
Right.
So she, like, says the character's name under the chapter number, and then, like, that whole chapter is in that person's perspective. Well, everybody but Cassian was in first person, and it irritated me because, like, my boy can't even be in first person. It's just third person.
Maybe it's because they're letting you know what he's doing while everybody, all of the
so let him tell the story.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't.
Why
do
does
that.
everybody else get to, but then you go to him, and it's even more like an insult to his character.
I think my point that I wanted to bring up to you guys, though, is that I don't even think first person is my problem. I think present tense is the thing that I found the most flabbergasting about the situation. It's very weird, the slight word choices that present it as Jess grabbed her vape, Jess is grabbing her vape. I don't know what it is to me, but it's a very, very noticeable difference in the way that something is presented to you. I think that's maybe why I found it so interesting. Do you have any thoughts on that, Hunter? Present tense or past?
A lot of my favorite books are in past tense because it's usually somebody telling a story of what happened. Like the first 5 books in the Chronicles of Amber is in first person, but it's basically him telling the story of what happened. Like in the 5th book concludes with like why he's telling the story, basically, to who, kind of. But then the next 5 books are in first person. So that's kind of similar to the switching POV that Jess was talking about. But I think the reason that usually happens is the author is trying to say something about. I feel like they want you to get something out of that. And I feel like in that case, with like that character who's the only one that doesn't get a first person chapter, is like I feel like maybe they're trying to make him seem like he's not like other people, or like there's something, I feel like there's a reason why that one character wouldn't get a first person chapter and everyone else
So
did.
far, he is very different, and even like just from the first book, because like I said, I'm not as well versed as Jess, but in the first book, you figure out that the romance partner, he never wanted to be the king of his realm, but he ended up being it. But then Cassian never wanted to be the king of his realm, but his brother still hunted him.
So let me interrupt you. Cassian's not mentioned at all in the first book. I think you're confusing characters.
Which one's the one with red hair?
That's Lucian.
Lucian. Oh shit, never mind.
Yeah, Cassian's not brought up until maybe the middle of the second book.
I would like to revoke everything I just said. I'm embarrassed.
I was going to stop you before you got too far. But that is, I mean, that's a good point, because Lucian's also one of those characters I feel like they didn't really...
Well, he was never a POV character as far as I've gotten yet.
No, he's never.
God, I feel like I just went around a semi and slammed into a wall. I'm embarrassed here.
But I finished the series, and overall it was good. It was a good pull-through together, but I'm very conflicted, because like I said, book 1 through book 4, I hated... the older sister, because I thought she was just a lazy, grumpy piece of crap who really had no reason to be upset with anybody or to hate on her sister. But then reading the 5th book, it shined a different light on, like, her trauma and what she went through. And so then I grew to hate all the characters that I loved from book 1 through 4, except for Cassian. I've always been a strong Cassian fan.
The thing that I was trying to tell Jess, and I'd like definitely, if you have anything to add to this, you can add it in. I think the reason why she hates the other characters so much is the character that is quote-unquote annoying and bad, you're getting the bad person's perspective on how everybody is.
Definitely.
So it's like when you get the villain's perspective of a book, you know, like, I've read a book like this, I just can't remember which one it was. But anyway, so it'd be like if you had 3 books of the main characters fighting against whatever, doing whatever they're doing, and then the 4th book is kind of like a novella of the bad guy's perspective. Oh, here's a good one. I don't know if you guys watched the Karate Kid movies. Isn't that what they were called? Karate Kid, the wax on, wax off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about the Cobra
Yeah,
Kai
and how the bully, you get his
series.
perspective, and from his perspective, the main character is the bad guy, because he just randomly comes into town, fucks him up, and takes away, like, his sort of thing that he had going on there.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously, everybody's going to look bad from the annoying character's point of view, because she's the black sheep.
Yeah, but I so quickly changed sides. I was like, fuck all of those guys.
No loyalty.
You're literally the coolest. Well, she literally was the strongest in the end, and they still talk to her like shit. Like, does nobody have spite or, like, anything? The way I would have destroyed my family if they talked to me like that. Excuse me? Let me pull out my sword, because I don't think you know who you're talking to. I might have been a lazy piece of shit through book 1 and 4, but now I'm that bitch. So you better come at me correct.
They were trying to Anakin Skywalker her.
No, literally.
Is the character that never gets a first-person perspective one of the primary love interests, or is he just
in the
a
5th
character?
book, it is solely about his, it's a will they won't they book about Nesta, the character that I originally hated but now grow to love, and him.
Because I notice sometimes in romance books, even ones that change perspective, a lot of the time they will not go from the perspective of the primary love interest, because they want it to feel like you are the person that is having feelings for this person. So, like, you wouldn't know Juan's perspective in your relationship, for example, but you would know yours the whole time. I feel like that's kind of the theme that they're trying to go with sometimes in romance, when they skip out on the other person's POV.
Yeah, so book 1 and 4 is about the youngest sister and her. She has 2 love interests. One fades, and then she finds her true love interest, if you will, through the 2nd and all the way until the 4th. And then that's where their story ends, which is why we see the eldest sister's relationship with Cassian really form, and then you focus on them. So I think you're right, because, like, 1 through 4, you only heard it in, those couple main characters' perspectives, because it was about their relationship. And then the 5th book was about Nesta's relationship, so that's why they painted her in a better light. Is that kind of what you mean by that?
Kind of, yeah. And just, like, also, it's kind of weird to, I guess oftentimes in books you don't really get the perspective of the love interest. You only get the perspective of the character who's falling in love with them.
Oh, yeah.
Or has feelings for them or whatever.
50 Shades of Grey was the example I wanted to bring up, is that they made an entire book line of his perspective on their relationships.
That's exactly what I was about to say, because, like, the original books are through, Anna's perspective, and, like, so you never understood, like, how Christian was feeling until the author released his perspective version of the exact book, just from his eyes.
Also, let's be honest here, romance books tend to have a favorable female audience. Mm-hmm. So obviously the main character, you're going to want her perspective, because you want your character to also fall in love with the guy or girl that the main character is falling in love with. Like, you don't want to hear what the fuck he's on, because if you were... I think it's easier for you to connect to a character that you understand.
Yeah. The Schmeat with her. So we're with her only on this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So, Warner Brothers, what do you have to say about that?
Don't be mad.
Mm-hmm.
Oblivion's cool and all.
I'm mad.
He's mad already.
But, like, when did Oblivion come out? Like, the original, not remaster.
06?
Mm-hmm. So tell me why Gauntlet came out the year 2000, and it doesn't have a remake yet. I'll answer that, because Warner Brothers bought the rights from Midway Games, and it's a graveyard. So I'm upset.
Warner Brothers...
You told me that Warner Brothers is known for just, like, buying stuff out, and then it just dies. You never get any remasters or anything.
Warner Brothers is known for doing that, and they have a historically bad rap with video games. Batman tends to be the only series they make that actually does anything at all.
And so I'm very upset. I was all over
Warner
Reddit the other day, and people were like, when is Gauntlet, Dark Legacy getting a remaster? Nothing ever came.
Never.
It's not going to happen because Warner Brothers bought it and was like, yeah, we're done with this.
What were you going to say, Hunter?
Well, I was going to say Warner Bros. Is actually, like we're saying, one of the most famous companies for doing that, especially in the video game realm, because they're the ones that patented the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor Nemesis system and made it so no other game can use that crazy, awesome system that so many people liked if it's not a Warner Bros. Game, and they've refused to license it for literally any game, and it's locked behind their licensing for another, 8 or 10 years or something like that.
And they're just not going to make any more of those games either, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, so they are literally, that's one of the most famous examples of that is from Warner Bros. Companies doing that, because that's the one that's constantly cited among video game players, because the system is so cool and it could be implemented by all sorts of creative game designers, but they can't do so because of a stupid patent.
Well, Warner Brothers 2, another good example of how shitty they are, is they made one of the coolest games I've ever played, Hogwarts Legacy. And then they specifically kept out Quidditch games so that they could cash grab and make a Quidditch-only game. And they put that out, and it was just like, well, nobody fucking played it because everybody had played Hogwarts and was like, well, you should have put it in there.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, let's just be honest, I mean, most of the things that they buy, what did they buy recently? They buy stuff and then just shutter it because they fire everybody that made it, and then they have no actual people working on the thing, and then the shit that they put out is just bad. But yeah, I don't even know. Like, if Warner Brothers buys something that you like, I mean, you're just toast.
I'm super salty because watching all these people who, grew up playing Oblivion or whatever, Elder Scrolls, they got that remaster. They got to relive it in, a better light. And I want that for me and Gauntlet, because that was a very, nostalgic game for me. I played that a lot when I was little. And I'm salty about it.
My game that I've been wanting them to remaster for literally my entire adult life is Time Splitters Future Perfect. Is a game that has been shipped over, the rights have been sent between 6 or 7 different studios, and then they've all gotten bought out, and the studio has gotten shuttered, and the remake has never happened.
Yeah.
Even though there's a ton of fan demand for it, and there's a lot of people who have played the game that would definitely buy a new copy or a remaster of it, and it's an incredibly rich game in the sense of it's got literally 144 characters that you can play as in the multiplayer, and it's got custom games, and it's got a really cool story mode and all the et cetera, et cetera. And it's a time traveling sci-fi kind of game. And it's the exact same thing where it's just studio gets the rights to it. Oh, we're gonna do it. Gets shuttered.
Yeah.
You get the rights to it. Okay, and now it's been sat on forever now, basically, by another company. I don't think it's Warner Bros., but it would not surprise me if it was.
That reminds me. Sorry to double back real quick. A Kotar was supposed to be a series.
Mm-hmm.
They literally wrote the script. A company started producing it and getting a cast ready. And then COVID hit, and they scrapped everything, and there's no mention of them starting a show for it again. I'm very upset about that, too.
Yeah, that happens quite often, actually.
Yeah.
Wait, that was the book series that got shuttered during COVID, and then they just are never remaking it, right?
Broken Roses. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds about Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was specifically, Warner Brothers that had originally started the project, but I know it was, it had footing and it was making traction, and then COVID hit and it just disappeared, and they have no plans to restart it back up. And I think that would be an amazing show.
Well, the thing that I don't get too about remakes and making shows about books that popular book series and all this thing is you're guaranteed just to make money no matter what.
Yeah, it's a very popular series.
And even just remakes and stuff, it's you're basically just going to print money. And it's why are you not giving the audience, when you make a new game or a new TV show or a new movie series, you have no guarantee that there's going to be a base for it. Like, you have no guarantee at all. You can make anything you want at any time you want, but there's no guarantee anybody has to like it. When it's proven, tried and tested, that people want something, they ask you for it. Let's even, ignore the whole nostalgia aspect of it. For a book series you read when you were a kid is getting a TV show. Like Lord of the Rings when they made the movies. Like all these things. You already have an established base of people who want to throw the money at you. Mm-hmm. Why would you not just do it? You know what I mean?
Well, because I think the ultimate answer to that is because it matters so much to them who makes the money. I think a lot of the time it's them fighting over who gets what percentage of the money when different companies both own parts of the rights, and actors want money for it and studios want money for it. And I think a lot of stuff ends up getting just kind of locked away because they decided that they'd rather not make any money than make other people getting some money.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't know. I guess in the end I'm not that upset because then I won't have to join Henry Cavill and stop watching something or being in something because they fuck it up.
Yeah, see, that's the other thing too, is there's nothing worse than when something's beloved, recepted really good, and then they're like, hey, by the way, we're just going to ignore everything going forward that you liked about it, and then it's gone. Also, I just remembered, this is the thing I wanted to bring up when you guys were complaining about Warner Brothers. The thing that has affected me the most about this company and something I'll never forgive, and I absolutely hate Warner Brothers for this. They literally bought Cartoon Network and then just shuttered it.
Yep.
They just got rid of it. And it's like, well, what the fuck is that about? Literally one of the biggest fucking money makers on television, and you're just going to get rid of it? That makes no sense to me.
Well, because they get to make money off of it and they don't have to do anything with it. They get to make money off of all the licensing and all of the characters and all the TV shows that already exist, and they don't have to put any effort into making anything new out of it. And they own the studio, and the studio's bottom line included all the people that they had to pay. So they fired all those people, and they're making the same amount of money of re-releasing things or selling those rights. And so it looks like that they're making more money off of the studio because they're not paying any artists, they're not paying any companies or any design groups or whatever to make new shows or whatever. So that's all overhead that's gone, and now they're just making money off of selling the licensing and rights to streaming services or how much they make off ad revenue on their own streaming service.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because they bought Rooster Teeth and killed Rooster Teeth. And literally a year before Rooster Teeth got shuttered, they were like, hey, we're taking everything off of YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and we're only going to put it on this subscription service, behind a paywall, and you won't be able to watch anything at all if you don't. Only the podcast for free. You won't be able to watch anything if you're not, if you're not paying for it. The company literally went bankrupt. They closed Rooster Teeth, sold everything off for money, and then the guy who originally made Rooster Teeth bought it back and then is just putting everything back on YouTube because it's like, okay, well, now I can make all of the money from this. So it's like, why would you get rid of a vast majority of your fans? Avery, no. A vast majority of your fans, make them pay for something that they're not going to or they would already have been paying for, and then just literally shutter a company. It's just that's what I hate about Warner Brothers so much. And just, obviously, let's be honest, guys, when big companies buy anything you like, it just always gets worse. Every single time. Shut out Star Wars. Took them years to get back on their legs. And they had to bring their other people back.
Yeah,
they had to bring Dave Filoni back and all that for them to actually make stuff that was actually watchable. To non-Super Star Wars freak. What's that?
I said we're hopping around a lot, but back to Okotar. I'm hoping that with the 6 books coming out, it might repress the idea.
That would be
possibly
really nice.
Doing the show.
That would be nice.
Hopefully. I think that a lot of studios, because of how long it actually takes to make shows and make things in general, I think things are actually just starting to kind of get fully ramped back up even from
I agree
COVID.
with that completely.
Stuff was so far behind from that. I feel like there's a lot of things that will probably start accelerating when it comes to shows being released and everything, just because how long it takes entertainment media to catch up, when it takes so long just to design costumes and sets and for actors to learn lines, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think that's what I was hearing
So,
too.
maybe it will come back.
Is that, well, obviously we had COVID, and then we immediately had the strike that went on for like a year, so it's just like everything takes forever to come out. And honestly, for every one good thing that you have to wait 2 years for a new season of, they make 85 things that are not watchable.
Yeah.
So
that's
that
true.
just takes as long too. It's just like such a pain in the ass.
Or maybe it wasn't like a hype enough series yet, but I recently found out that most people are reading it because BookTok.
Yeah.
Like people on TikTok are talking about it. It was recommended to me by a friend, so I did not hear about it through TikTok. But maybe the hype will, be beneficial towards the reignition of the series potentially being a show.
TikTok's amazing for a lot of different creators. Book creators, TV show, music.
Yep.
Like, say what you want about it, which is crazy that the government wants to get rid of it. It's like, say what you want about it, because I have a lot of complaints about TikTok, but it's like, it makes artists of all different varieties, it makes their life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Definitely. I will say that at our library, we literally do have a book talk section,
Awesome.
and it's fairly popular. People come in looking for books recommended to them by TikTok creators. So we have usually whatever the trending books are on display for people to easily find them, because there's a lot of, especially because we live in a college town, with there's a lot of people that come and are looking for those books.
That's actually pretty
Definitely.
sweet, not gonna lie. All right, what else do you guys got for us before we head off for the day?
I do have a response to Farah's question that she asked on the last video that you guys did. I don't think I was a part of it, but I did answer it.
What's that?
So Farah had asked, what is your opinions with people watching gameplay before buying the game? I know some people think you should buy the game without watching, and some are okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm big on watching gameplays before purchasing the game because, I feel like the trailers are always overly animated and they don't accurately represent how the game is actually played or how it runs. So I like to get a sneak peek that way. It doesn't feel like such a waste of money if it plays in a way that you don't hate.
I completely agree. I am big. I don't think you should be watching the story of the game unless you decide that you don't want to get it. But, that's also ultimately up to personal preference. But, I would never watch, what's happening in the campaign. But I always will watch what the gameplay is like, especially now when there's a lot of games that are, and I think it's a good thing, made very specifically for people who like certain things in games and dislike others. So, you kind of want to know what you're getting into, especially if you're spending $60 or $70 on a
Definitely.
game.
So,
I think that it's a smart way to protect your investment, to make sure that it looks like something you'd be interested in.
I am double-sided on this. So what you guys are talking about, I agree. Before I spend a bunch of money on a game I've never heard of before, which, let's be honest, at this point in my life, I'm basically only buying games that I probably know, but I trust them developer, or I'm buying a sequel to another game that they made that I like. But the other aspect is, she asked in response to when we were talking about, damn, what's that show Ryan's watching on HBO that was Last of Us? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was saying that in response to when I was talking about The Last of Us. So I completely agree with what you guys are saying. But in response to what I was talking about originally, to you, Farah, and anybody else listening, I do not like when somebody is going to portray a character from something and they just get the bare minimum. Like the girl from Fallout, she said she never played a Fallout or anything like that. This girl from The Last of Us said she only watched some of the storyline on YouTube. I like the aspect of people like, who's Superman again?
Like Henry Cavill in The Witcher.
Henry Cavill. He read the books. He played the games. If you're gonna do something, it's a job. You know what I mean? I don't go in for a presentation at work without doing a little bit of background. Mm-hmm. I am a semi-truck driver. I had to learn how to drive a truck before I went and did it. Why don't you put in the bare minimum of effort and do the thing? If it's a new IP, that's whatever. But the people in the Lord of the Rings, I bet you a lot of those people had, at some point in their lives, read the Lord of the Rings, the main characters at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
So it's when it comes to actors not at least putting in a decent amount of effort to learn the material that they're portraying, that really annoys the shit out of me. But when it comes to spending money on a game, yeah, I get that. Like, definitely look into something before you spend money on it.
Yeah.
That's for anything. Books, I mean, you read the back of a book before you buy it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Not me. I just look at the cover. That's what they teach you when you work at a
Look, I
library.
read romance, so I look at the cover for sure. And if what's his name?
If Caspian isn't hot, you don't want to read it. If he's not hot in the cover,
Caspian is crazy. I love it though. No, exactly. Like those old Nora Roberts ones, where like Fatima was on the front, Yiddies out. I'm reading the book.
Do you guys remember Fabio?
That's his name. I
those-
said Fatima, like the girl.
Yeah, the
That's
girl,
not-
yeah.
I mean, whatever.
No.
You know, Yiddies are gonna grab attention too. It's fine.
If Long Dong Fabio's on it, I'll read it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Like if there's a horse in the background, send me. I'm
See,
good.
that's an innuendo if I've ever heard of it.
done.
Mm-hmm.
Those Nora Robert books are very popular. I
Just
will
have
say
a
that.
few of them.
We have 1 billion of them
This
at
is
my
gonna sound
library.
odd, but
1 billion.
I don't even know if I want to
1
say
billion.
this. When my grandma passed away, she gave me all of her books, and every single one of them was Nora Roberts books, okay? This was before I started reading heavily into romance. Now it seems a little weird, like why did my deceased grandmother leave me her spicy books? But it's fine. Whatever.
Generational.
Yeah, I mean they're heirlooms, really.
Oh, no.
I have a couple of like books from her trilogies. I haven't really read them, no. I feel like I'm not a big fan of her writing style, to be honest.
Well, that is literally a make or break.
Yeah, like I read one book out of I think the Cousins O'Dwyer trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. I wasn't a huge fan. It took me super long to get into it, and then by the time I got into it, I just feel like I was so defeated that I didn't care to read the second one.
I'm willing.
Nora Roberts. I was gonna say Nora Roberts also has an entire other pseudonym that she writes under. That's J.D.
Yeah.
Robb, and she's got like a ton of books. All of those ones are all like suspense, mystery kind of. A lot of them are like cop kind of detective books or whatever. And I could not get into any of
Bootlicker.
those. My mom liked them a lot. Could not do it. We're gonna get all of our videos taken off of Instagram at this rate.
So, real quick before we finish is a crazy way after we were talking about
it's
what we were talking
fitting.
about. It is not fitting.
Yeah.
It's messy though. So what I was gonna say is that when it comes to books, and obviously as a Star Wars fan, I am willing to give a lot of leeway for plots and even characters. But if I'm reading a book and I don't like the writing style of the author, like that is a 100% make or break. Like I can't give an inch on that. It needs to be something that I like to read or listen to, and then I can give grievances on the rest. I mean, it is what it is. Nothing's going to be perfect. You know, not everything's a Game of Thrones. So
That's kind of the magic of an author, right? Is like there's books that I never thought I would really like based on the subject matter, but the writing was good enough where I could get into
Yeah.
it anyway.
100%.
You know, like and vice versa. Like you're talking about Star Wars. There's a lot of Warhammer books, and there was quite a few of them that I literally bought and would return after reading the first 2 or 3 chapters because like I was like, oh, this writing style is not for me. Even though I love the characters, I love the topic, whatever, the story is really good. I just cannot get into how the author
I
writes.
completely
at all.
agree with you. I completely agree.
100%.
Some of the most popular Halo books are the original 3 trilogy, and I think Nylan wrote them. I don't like his writing style. In the original 3 books, this plot line is so strong for the Halo books that I can kind of endure it a little bit. But like
That's the first strike. That's the series that's first
Yes.
strike in it, right?
which that book is just so
Yeah,
good
he's-
that
I
I'm
would
willing
say.
to put up with it, but I don't revisit it often because I don't like the way Nylan writes at all. So it's not a book I revisit.
He's the most descriptive motherfucker
What's
of all
that?
time. He's way too descriptive in a not helpful
Yeah.
way. Like I feel like he describes the most stupid details. Like in that, I think it's that book. There's like literally a page and a half where they're just describing the Spartan twirling the knife on his finger,
It's bad.
and it's like, motherfucker, move on,
Yeah.
move on. What does he do with
Halo
it
is one of those series that when they talk about the military aspects of it, like, I love that. That gives me a boner, dude. I love the detail and the authenticity to Halo. But he will literally re-describe the gun and its entire military serial number every single time.
Yeah,
and it's like, just
too
establish
much.
you know what you're talking about, and then you got me in. If you care enough to learn about the thing I like, establish it, move on.
Right.
He will literally keep repeating what goddamn serial number is on this goddamn gun, and it's like, please, bro.
I mean, kind of.
What do you mean?
Like, I get what you're saying, but it's also, like, the topic, kind of. Like, what kind of book you're reading.
Yeah, but, like, if he's going to tell me about what cannon is on the front of the ship, tell me about that cannon, and then just say, oh, they're shooting the cannon. Don't say, he picked up the MA5B with an extended scope and silencer on it every single time he touches the weapon. Shoots the weapon.
I read smut, so I listen to the same detailed version of description of someone's vagina like 7 times, and I'm still like, what happened again?
That's fair.
So.
You want to know the
That's crazy.
Like, it's why we're here.
Hell no. You did not fucking say that. All right, guys.
I will say, my last thing on this topic is that I will say that there are parts of the Dune books that push my limit of description a little bit. The world building is incredible. It's very in-depth and beautiful, similar to like Tolkien. But sometimes it does push me right to the edge, and then they move on. Like, it's like, you know, this is also sounding kind of funny on the topic we're on.
No, please say a little slower for the audience, please.
The edging of the description? Is that what you're going?
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, sci-fi edging. Yeah, just I do get that, because I like descriptions. I love world building, but there's you're walking a line. Like, if you get too nitty gritty with it, it's just like it gets boring, you know. Like, you can only hear so much detail about something very small.
I love it, but only the first time. You know, like, don't keep repeating all of the nitty gritty details. Like, don't be scared to tell me as much as you want to tell me the first time. But honestly, when I was listening to that writing podcast, a lot of it is you're supposed to really filter the information. So, you know, you might have 2 books where you give them the first part of it, the first book, the second part of what you want the detail to be described in the second one. Like, you don't want people to just feel like they're drowning, like you said, like, to the very edge. You don't want that continuously. I'm sure I'll like the Dune books either way, but, like, I know what you mean. I mean, I think filtering in is better than, like, opening up the dam.
Speaking of opening up the dam, I'm about to start my next series by H.D. Carlton, and I heard it's super, super aggressive and detailed. I'll keep you guys posted.
All right. Well, before this gets any more provocative, feel free to follow us on all social medias. Feel free to listen on YouTube. Definitely leave a comment. Let us know how much you loved this episode, because it is crazy. Do you guys have any final words for us?
No, I think we said a lot.
We said a lot, that's for sure.
No, I think we all finished.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.
Yeah.
Have a good one. Peace out, y'all.